The Koch family is an American family engaged in business and philanthropy, most noted for the political activities and control of Koch Industries, the second largest privately owned company in the United States. The family business was started by Fred C.Koch, who developed a new cracking method for the refinement of heavy crude oil into gasoline. Fred's four sons litigated against each other over their interests in the business during the 1980s and 1990s. Charles G. Koch and David H. Koch, today commonly referred to as the Koch brothers, and the only two of Fred Koch's four sons still with Koch Industries, are affiliated with the Koch family foundations. They have also founded and funded a number of conservative and libertarian political organizations. Family members: Fred C. Koch, American chemical engineer and entrepreneur who founded the oil refinery firm that later became Koch Industries and was one of the founding members of the John Birch Society. Mary Robinson Koch, wife of Fred C. and eponym of the company's namesake tanker vessel Mary R. Koch. Four sons of Fred C. and Mary Robinson Koch: Frederick R. Koch, collector; Charles G. Koch, chairman of the board and chief executive officer of Koch Industries; David H. Koch, executive vice president of Koch Industries; William Koch, businessman, sailor, and collector. Non-profit organizations. The Koch family foundations are a related group of non-profit organizations that began with the establishment of the Fred and Mary Koch Foundation in 1953, and now includes the Charles Koch Foundation, the David H. Koch Charitable Foundation, and the Koch Cultural Trust. The organizations collectively have a stated goal of advancing liberty and freedom through the support of various causes which further social progress and sustainable prosperity. Quote, in addition to the direct action of the non-profits, the groups have also contributed financially to other philanthropic organizations in the fields of research, public well-being, arts, and education, including contributions to scholarship programs, university support, and loan assistance through organizations like the United Negro College Fund. Political activities. Charles and David Koch have been active in American politics since at least 1980, when David Koch was the Libertarian Party's vice presidential nominee. The political contributions began to attract widespread attention from media outlets in 2008 when, through the family foundations, the brothers contributed to 34 political and policy organizations, 3 of which they founded, and several of which they directed. They have since organized a network of libertarian and conservative donors, candidates, think tanks, and other groups. They, and the political allies, have been described as a rival to the establishment wing within the Republican Party, and have expressed frustration with establishment candidates running in the 2016 presidential election. As an example of their influence, Jane Mayer noted House Speaker John Boehner's appeal to David Koch in 2011 when Boehner needed votes to prevent a government shutdown. Orientation. The Koch brothers have indicated that they intend to raise almost $880 million in support of candidates in the 2016 elections, and have given more than $100 million to conservative and libertarian policy and advocacy groups in the United States, including the Heritage Foundation and the Cato Institute, and more recently Americans for Prosperity. Americans for Prosperity, founded by David Koch, has been reported by Kenneth Vogel of Politico to be one of the main non-profit groups assisting the Tea Party movement, but in 2010, Koch spokeswoman Melissa Colmier distanced the Kochs from the Tea Parties and Freedom Works, saying that no funding has been provided by Koch companies. The Koch foundations, Charles Koch or David Koch, specifically to support the Tea Parties. Quote, according to the Koch Family Foundations and Philanthropy website, The foundations and the individual giving of Koch family members have financially supported organizations fostering entrepreneurship, education, human services, at-risk youth, arts and culture, and medical research. Former Republican Congressman Joe Scarborough, co-host of MSNBC's Morning Joe, has pointed out that, although the critics are usually unaware of the fact, the Koch brothers have supported more than just what are generally considered conservative causes. They opposed George W. Bush on many issues, a pro-choice, support same-sex marriage, and had worked closely with the Obama White House for the Obama administration's criminal justice reform initiatives that aligned with their own. Climate change. According to the environmentalist group Greenpeace, the Koch brothers have played an active role in opposing climate change legislation. Climate change skeptic Willie soon received $230,000 from the Charles G. Koch Charitable Foundation. Organizations that the Koch brothers help fund, such as Americans for Prosperity, the Heritage Foundation, the Cato Institute, and the Manhattan Institute, have been active in questioning global warming. Americans for Prosperity and the Koch brothers influenced more than 400 members of Congress to sign a pledge to vote against climate change legislation that does not include offsetting tax cuts. The Kochs have also funded efforts to stop the growth of solar power, criminal justice reform, while the Koch family has been making substantial donations to criminal justice reform organizations for nearly a decade. Most recently, the Kochs headed a bipartisan resolution to make more serious leaps to reform. Included in these are aims at eliminating overcriminalization and over-incarceration, which generally harms low-income and minority communities, as well as reducing recidivism rates, diminishing barriers faced by the rehabilitated seeking employment, and law enforcement's asset forfeiture to deprive the incarcerated of property.